Hi, my name is Leanne, and I'm really excited to share with you my experience on VMR. It has been life-changing for me. I never would have imagined 18 months ago that I would be where I'm at today, and I really hope this video can encourage you. I want to give you a little bit of my background first, is that when I came to Dr. Brogan, I had been in a severe depression for 7 years, and when I say severe, I don't even think there's a word to describe what I felt. I was pregnant with my third child, and I'd had some depressive episodes after my second, but they were mostly with my menstrual cycle, and so I didn't feel that that was something totally abnormal, and I just thought that was just what happens. So when I was pregnant with my third, about 6 weeks into it, I felt a lot of fear come in, and told my husband that something wasn't right, and the next day I could not get out of bed. And I cried and I cried and I cried, but it didn't end there. It grew. And the depression was a very dark place for me. It was filled with shame, with guilt, with thoughts of fear. It grew to where I believed every single day was going to be my last day. Not because I was going to take my life, but because it was going to be taken from me. And I just believed death was coming. I could feel it around me. And I couldn't understand why nobody else felt it, because I thought it, I felt it, it must have been real. I didn't get out of bed. I stayed there. The depression grew for me, and it began to manifest physically. So I started having massive migraines, ocular migraines, where I'd lose my vision. I ended up developing vertigo, as well as just painful migraines. And then I started having muscle seizures in my neck, in my shoulder, my entire back, my hip. In fact, I woke up maybe 3 or 4 months into the pregnancy, and my left hip and leg just didn't work anymore, so I couldn't walk. I would drag my leg behind me, and the seizures were so extreme, and they were 24 hours a day. They never stopped, that my spine actually twisted, and I was kind of bent over sideways, dragging a foot. I mean, I looked like Frankenstein. It was horrible. And so that's kind of how it started for me. I gave birth to my daughter, but nothing ever got really better for me. I would have some ups and downs along the way, and periods, maybe a little respite of 3 or 4 months where I wasn't in huge back seizures and I could move around a little bit. But I never really fully recovered, and I always ended up back to where I was when I was pregnant. And this repeated cycle, each time that it happened, the depression was darker, and the spasms were worse, and they would last longer. I could go a year at a time in a complete back spasm or a seizure, where I couldn't bend over, I couldn't move, I couldn't put a shoe on. There was nothing I could do. And I also had insomnia, of course, just because I had so much pain. And I had panic attacks. By the time that I had gotten to that 7-year mark, right before I found Dr. Brogan's work, I was having nightly panic attacks that could last 30 minutes. They could be 3 hours long. I would wake up and I just felt intense fear. It was just scared of everything. And I would hyperventilate. Sometimes I would pass out. Other times until I had no energy for anything left in me. I can't explain what I felt as far as the depression and the darkness, but I know a lot of you out there probably know it. And I felt like there was something wrong with me, that I couldn't understand why I wasn't like other women. I couldn't understand why this happened to me, because I ate pretty well. I mean, I majored in nutrition. I had been a raw foodist for probably 10 years. I'd been a vegan for a long time. Believed I was doing everything I needed to do to stay healthy. I left my job to raise my children, and I ended up homeschooling them, and felt like I was making all these decisions in my life that were good decisions, and I kind of felt like I was being punished for something that I didn't understand. And it really hurt me, and it really separated me from people, because I felt like there was just something inherently wrong with me, that I couldn't function like other people. I was pretty much housebound for 7 years from that pregnancy. I emotionally left my children. I could not be there for them anymore. I just could not handle anything. Days and days just in my bed crying. Other times I would just stare off and not respond to people. So it was a really difficult time. I did not believe that there could be any healing for me. I thought I was past hope. I didn't understand why, but I just kind of accepted that this was my life now. So when I came across Dr. Brogan's work, it hit a chord in me. And I had always believed that there was healing power in food. That was why I did, the raw foodist and the vegan and things like that. So I started following her program. So that was 18 months ago. And I just did the food. The first month, I just focused on the food. I didn't do meditations. I didn't do CEs. And I followed it exactly to a T. I didn't cheat on anything because I was desperate. I was really desperate. So after a month on it, I noticed that there was this glimmer of hope in me. Like, I remember one day I just felt like something could change and something could be different. And it was short, but it was enough to make me want to invest more. So I started the meditations, and they were kind of hard for me. I think I wasn't used to trying to quiet down, and I made a habit in my life to always be so busy that I didn't have to think about what I was thinking or feel what I was feeling. So that was kind of difficult for me. And at about 6 months into following the program, I started the CEs. And I would say that those two parts are really an integral part of the program, and I wouldn't live without them right now. So after I started the CEs, about 3 days into it, my panic attack stopped, and I've never had a panic attack since. And that was huge for me, and I really fell in love with the CEs and just the calmness that it brought my nervous system. And it was shortly after that something in my mind switched, and I can't tell you how it happened or like what it was. I've had people ask me, well, what did you do to get there? And it was everything. It was the food, it was the meditation, it was doing the CEs, it was taking time for myself. I did a ton of journaling in this process, but somewhere in that mix, something in my brain shifted, and I realized that I was where I was at, not because something was wrong with me, not because inherently I was bad or I was flawed or, just genetically something was wrong or I'd done something to hurt myself. I realized it was that I had made choices that brought me to where I was, and they were things that I didn't want to admit, things that I didn't want to acknowledge in my life. And I was actually in a Vital Mind Circle. It was my first one. It was the only one I've done with Dr. Kelly Brogan. And I asked her a question. I said, I've done all this stuff, and there's so much changing in my mind. I said, but my back, and I have these muscle seizures, and they don't go away. They were definitely less, but I still had restricted movement. They were really tight. I couldn't bend over. I still couldn't function. I couldn't go to things with my kids. And she said to me, that it was just another diagnosis that I was given, that, some doctor told me my ligaments didn't work, and I believed them. And she asked me, she said, Leanne, what does it feel like? And I said, it feels like anger. I'm really angry about this. And she told me that I should explore that. And so I did. And what I found was that I was upset about all the choices I made to try to be perfect, to try to be the perfect wife and the perfect mom and just overall the perfect person. And all of these choices that I made were not what I wanted, and that's what brought me my sadness. So I really believe, though, that I never could have gotten to this place without the food. It gave me that chance to get to know myself and to not, I don't understand exactly how it all works, but it does. And I had decided when I realized I made choices that weren't in line with who I was, that I was going to change my choices. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Telling my kids I didn't want to homeschool them anymore when they had been home with me for 13 years was difficult. Going back to work after being home 13 years and being housebound for 7 of them was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Dr. Brogan said something that really stuck with me, and it was that everything you want is on the other side of fear. And I've held on to that as my truth. So now those things I fear, I actually chase down because I want what's on the other side. And after I realized I needed to get a job and I needed to put my kids in school, I decided to start making those changes. And I made a phone call to my old boss from 14 years ago, and I had a job in 10 minutes. Um, and I suffered a 3-day panic attack because I was scared to death. I still was not moving in my back. I still could not bend over. I still had tons of pain. But I believed in me that when I went after the things that I want and I listened to myself and what brought me joy and stopped trying to be something for everybody else, that I would heal. And the job that I got was in my old profession, which was property management. And it was a busy job. I ended up managing 2 properties, not one. And they were big, really big properties. And a lot of walking, a lot of stair climbing, things that I could not do. One of the things I didn't mention in there with all those back seizures and things that I had is my pelvis was sprained continually. So if I walked uphill, if I took a step too big, my pelvis would sprain, which was excruciating painful for me. And so the thought of walking upstairs and walking across a property that it was actually like 3 combined was really scary to me. But I pushed through it and I held on to what Dr. Brogan said, that everything you want is on the other side of fear. And I took the job and it was hard. I mean, I went there feeling like a phony, like, oh my gosh, these people don't know who they hired. They only know the old me. They don't know the me that I was for 7 years. But I found that the more that I was there, the less I thought about the less I thought about me, the less I thought about my pain, the more confident I became. And within a week, my back started moving and I started bending in it and the fear started going away. And so I've been now at work for about 5 months. And I've done other healing modalities for my back as well in conjunction with all of this. But I've started to exercise now. I've started doing Pilates and I'm climbing steps. I was actually in a brace around my hips for these 7 years because my pelvis would not stay together. And I'm out of my brace and I'm active and I'm living my life. I'm able to carry my 7-year-old again. And I really missed that, and so did she. And I've completely come back to my children. And what I want to tell you is that no matter where you're at, no matter what you're feeling, no matter what your thoughts are, we've all had them, and they're not true if they're telling you that you can't heal, that you can't be whole again, that it's too late for you. It's not. It's not. And I can say that I have more genuine love in my heart for people now than I did before. And I realized before I just pretended that I had love because that was what I was supposed to be. But through this program, it hasn't just healed my body. I don't have migraines anymore. I don't have vertigo anymore. My menstrual cycle has normalized out. I don't have those dips of depression anymore with it. And, to me, this is just the beginning. This isn't the end. And I've learned that there is no end. I expect that I'm going to grow more and I'm going to learn more about myself and that I'm probably going to change careers too. That nothing is impossible at this point. And there's no destination for me. And I guess that's what I want you to know is when you enter into this program, to know that I know you want to heal just like I did. But the healing there is no description of what that is for you or for me. It came and it's different for all of us. But the healing isn't something that you grasp and you're done with. And then, everything just goes back to normal. There's so much more growth than that. There's so much more outside your body healing. That was huge for me, but the shift that's happening mentally for me and spiritually for me are way bigger than what the shift in my body or in the depression was. So I just want to encourage you to continue to go forth and don't set limits on yourself. Don't set timetables on yourself. To just give yourself fully to this program and give yourself fully to loving yourself and caring for yourself so that you can know who you are. You can have that joy and that happiness because it will come. And I just want to thank you for watching the video and I just want to send you my love. And I'm so glad that you are here because we're all in this together. We're all doing this together. And I thank everybody who came before me and gave me hope. And I hope this does the same.